and welcome to my top 5 sentimental comics video. I've seen something very similar to this going around on the comic tube at the moment, with people talking about their favourite like key issues and things like this, and I don't really collect like key issues or anything else. I collect like bind-ups and things like this just because that just works better for me. So instead what I thought I'd do today is talk a little bit about some of my most sentimental comics and the comics that I could just never part with for whatever reason. So let's talk about them. First thing I have is Avril Lavigne's Make 5 Wishes, which was the first ever comic I read. This is all about a young girl called Hannah who doesn't fit in at school, so she spends a lot of time online, like pretending to be cooler and popular than she is, and pretending she's best friends with Avril Lavigne. And that was, I'm not gonna lie, quite like accurate to my teenage years and like my sort of like when I was about 10, 11-ish. That was very accurate. And I mean, Avril Lavigne had such a massive like effect on my life when I was about that age, because I mean, I started listening to her music, I got more into pop punk, I started painting my nails black, and I still do to this day. Like, I never wear anything but black nail varnish and it's on constantly. I started wearing all of this jewellery, or started wearing jewellery in general, and then I just didn't stop, to be honest. And I've just sort of like, her style really sort of like influenced me in a lot of ways. And then when I read this, I just really enjoyed it. And I should say actually that the Make 5 Wishes bit comes into it when our main character comes across a website called Make 5 Wishes, and then she accidentally ends up ordering a package guaranteed to make her dreams come true. And it was just this slightly weird comic starring Avril Lavigne. It's not like your traditional comic, but I still really enjoyed it. This is what the artwork looks like on the inside. It was just this very cool mini 2-volume comic, and I just really enjoyed it. It made my fangirl heart very happy when I was young, and I couldn't part with it because it just reminds me of like the first comics I ever read, which was these ones, and I just generally really enjoyed it. I really love this, and even though I haven't read it in years and I'd probably not enjoy it as much now, I can't get rid of it for those sentimental reasons. I really can't. Then I have an obvious one, and that is House of M. This was the first Marvel event I ever read. I picked this up on a whim, literally because I was like, oh, it's about the X-Men. I really enjoy the X-Men. I grew up on the X-Men, and I picked this up in HMV and read it, and just, I hadn't read any other Marvel comic at this point apart from Doctor Strange The Oath, if I remember rightly. I had no idea about like the backstory going into this or anything else. I knew the basics of the characters, and I just fell in love with it. And I mean, No More Mutants is absolutely like in my brain now. If you don't know what this is the moment where Scarlet Witch says no more mutants because of a few like traumatic things come back up again for her, and she essentially rewrites reality, so the X-Men and the mutants are not mutants anymore. They are human, apart from like about 200 of them, and it's all of them dealing with this and trying to figure out how to get their powers back, how to survive, because all of the anti-mutant groups are now going after them, this kind of thing. And I love this. I remember reading this for the first time, getting to the end, immediately buying Messiah Complex and Messiah War, which is 2 of the sequels, because I actually already randomly had second chances. I had like the big hardback and like the next one in this that I picked up in a charity shop like 6 months beforehand, and I was like, this is amazing, I'm going to read this right now. And I just remember immediately buying the next 2 as well on Kindle so I could read those as well. And this made me absolutely fall in love with Marvel Comics. I was already a massive Marvel fan, like I said, from like the movies and stuff, but this just, like, this made me into a Marvel Comics fan. There is no other way to describe it. This made me into a Marvel Comics fan. I loved it. I admit it wasn't probably the best thing to dive into because it's a massive event and calls back to like a lot of different things, but I absolutely loved it. The artwork in here, see if I can find some like really cool bits. So this is like a big fight scene that happens. You get bits in here as well that look like newspaper articles, this kind of thing, and I absolutely loved it. I still love it to this day. I still talk about House of M all of the time on this channel, on TikTok, on everywhere else. I'm still hoping that we get like a full like adaptation of this somewhere, because I think it would be epic. We got hints of it in like places, but I just I just absolutely love this. There's only no other way to describe it. I love it, and the only way I would ever get rid of this is if I get a new copy of it, because mine is starting to fall to pieces a bit. There are a couple of pages that are a little bit loose now because I've read it so many times, but that is the only reason why I would get rid of this copy, is because I'm replacing it with another one, because I read this so often. I love it. There is also Marvel 1602, which I talk about a lot, I know, but this is Neil Gaiman's comic where it's based around the idea that there's a whole load of like Marvel characters, so like the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, the X-Men, Nick Fury, Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, people like this are all in the year 1602, and something's not quite right there, and it's a really good look into like Marvel characters and this kind of thing without it being bogged down by like a whole load of other things like talking about like main continuity events or anything else. So it's not like House of M where you spend half the time wondering who some of these minor characters are, or like not knowing what they're calling back to, this kind of thing with like Mephisto and everything else like they do in House of M. This is very much a self-contained story where, as long as you've watched like the main MCU timeline and you know a bit about the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, if you've watched those movies, and also What If, I should say, because the Watcher's in this, you will be fine reading this. This is absolutely amazing. I loved like the detail of this. I loved also like the artwork. Let's see if I can find a good bit. So like this is what the inside of it looks like. There's a whole load of like really fun parts to the story, and it's absolutely gorgeous inside like I just showed you. And I love as well like all the hidden characters, because there are a couple of characters who are hidden in here as well, where it's like, oh, plot twist, this person has just turned up. And it was like a few of them I should have realised. I definitely should have realised with a few of them who they were, because I'm an idiot and I just didn't, because I was like, that person is hanging out with those people, like obviously that is that person. Like, how did I not realise that it was that person without seeing their identifying part of their costume, this kind of thing. I just love that it had me screaming the whole way through. It absolutely like made me see exactly what like Marvel Comics can do and what comics in general can do. It's a really good starting point if you haven't started Marvel Comics or anything and you don't know where to start and you're a bit intimidated by it. This is definitely a really good one to go for, because it doesn't tie into anything else. You just need that basic knowledge of the characters and then you can just run with it. And it was just a really good alternate take on Marvel heroes. I had such a good time with this, and I will never ever part with it, because it was just so much fun. I literally picked this up on a whim because it was a Neil Gaiman comic, and I was like, well, I like Neil Gaiman, I'll see what he does with Marvel characters. And it's just quickly become my favourite comic of all time. It's literally, I'm desperate for an adaptation, and whenever I hear someone talk about Marvel 1602, I turn into a bit of a meerkat and sort of go, wait, what? Kind of thing, and I'm just immediately like screaming about it. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. I absolutely love this. I recommend it to everybody, and it is definitely one that I will never ever part with. Then there's also I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young, which I have to mention because every time I mention comics that I love, I have to mention this one. This is a Image Comics comic, so it is Image. Yes, it is. I just had to double check that. I wasn't sure if it was Dark Horse for a second, but this is the first non-Marvel comic I read, and I just loved it so fully that I cannot quite describe how much I love this. This was literally all about a girl called Gert who at 6 years old got dragged into Fairyland. She was meant to stay for like a very short period, like usual with like your usual fairy tale type stories, but instead she got stuck there for 30 years. She did not age like physically, but mentally she did, and now she's done, and she really wants out of Fairyland, and she ends up Deadpooling her way out. It's the only way I can describe this, and this just appealed on so many levels, because I very much have a Wednesday Addams heart. So it appealed to me on that level. I also love like fairy tale retellings and things, and while this isn't mentioning any specific fairy tales, I still love that it was based in like Fairyland and we were sort of turning it on its head. I love the art style of it as well. Let's see if I can find like some good, like, there you go. So you can sort of see like the kind of artwork here. It's all super colourful, but at the same time like you've still got these like more badass elements to it. I loved all of that. I loved like the humour of it. I loved like how there is no swearing in here, so instead it's like mother fluffer and things like this throughout here, so it was very creative swearing. I loved like Gert's character. I loved her banter with everybody. I love seeing how the evil queen, or the queen I should say, Queen Claudia, tries to like deal with Gert, and how everyone tries to deal with Gert, and how Gert deals with her problems, which is just generally to axe it to death. Or something like this. I found it all so much fun. It appealed to my Wednesday Addams heart, it appealed to my fairy tale loving heart, it appealed to me in so many levels, and it was the first thing I read that wasn't a Marvel comic, and it made me like want to branch out more into like other comics and other publishers as well, which I generally didn't do, but I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad this was the first one I tried. I remember picking these up specifically as well, these volumes, at Comic Con, at my second ever Comic Con, which was back in 2019, and I just have loved them ever since. I will always remember like searching for them on like a Place in Spaces specifically. It was a Place in Spaces like comic stand, and I just remember finding all of these and being really, really excited, and just being like so happy to have found them, because I only had them on Kindle beforehand, and I'll always remember that as well, because it's such a fond memory for me. And that whole entire weekend was such a good memory for me, and like a good weekend. So in that sense it's got sentimental value, but also it's just one of my favourite comics of all time. It appeals to me on so many levels, and it just makes me happy to think about. So I will never, ever, ever part with this one either. Instead, I will just recommend it to everyone until everyone's read it. And then the final thing I have is an actual bagged single issue. This is one of the only single issues I own, and this is one that I will never, ever part with, because one, this is Marvel Voices Pride, which is such an important series. This is all about various like LGBTQI plus authors and artists writing LGBTQI plus stories, and they release one of these every Pride month. They also do one for like black authors and like artists with black characters. They also do it for Latinx identities, and a whole lot of other identities as well, which is amazing. It's definitely needed, and it just highlights these LGBTQI plus characters so well. There's the first story in here was really important to me, because it's all about a character called Gwenpool, who is one of my all-time favourite characters of all time. She's very much someone I relate to on a lot of levels in terms of like personality and stuff, but also because she's asexual, and it was really nice to see like a story in here exploring that asexuality, which I really, really appreciated. And there's a whole lot of like other stories in here as well about characters I admittedly didn't know that much about, but it was really cool to like find out more about them. There was also like bits in here with America Chavez as well, and Viv Vision, people like this. There was a whole lot of other bits in here as well. There's also like little interviews and stuff as well with LGBTQI plus creators, which is awesome, and I love it for all of those reasons. But the reason why I'm gonna keep it forever and ever and ever, and like rarely take it out of this unless I am like showing it to you for some reason, is because of this. I don't know if you can see that, but that is my comment in a Marvel comic, because they asked for like on Twitter, what does Marvel Voices Pride mean to you, and I tweeted back saying it makes the world feel like a more accepting place. And then they put it in the comic, like my name is in a Marvel comic, my name is in a Marvel comic, and that just blows my mind. Like, it is one of the most special things that has ever happened to me. It's one of the most incredible things that's ever happened to me. Like, I still can't believe it, and I'm still like processing that I'm in a Marvel comic. This came out like 2 months ago. I'm still processing that my name is in a Marvel comic. Like, I know this happens quite a lot in comics. I know that Marvel asks for comments quite a lot with like put them in their comics and all the rest of it. There's like comment sections and all the rest of it, but I never thought it would happen to me. And I'm not gonna lie, one of my goals in life is to write for Marvel Comics. And even though it's just a comment within like the back of a comic, I've still made it into a Marvel comic, which it means so much. It means so much. It means so much when it's like this as well, when it's Pride, and like seeing a story in here about an asexual Gwenpool and things like this, which is something that is a part of my identity and things like this. It means so much on so many levels, and I would save this from a burning building. I'm just putting it out there. This is this I want to get framed at some point, or at the very least I want to maybe like photocopy this page and then like frame it in my room somewhere, because I don't think I could actually frame this itself, but I'm kind of tempted to, I'm not gonna lie. But either way, it's just, it means so much. It just means so much to me. It means the world, and this is possibly my favourite thing, like favourite comic that I will ever own. I'm pretty sure this is my favourite comic that I will ever own at this point, because my name's in it. My name is in a Marvel comic. I'm not over it. I'm going to shut up now, because otherwise I will just keep on repeating that over and over and over again. And that is my top 5 comics that I can never part with, but this video has been very straight and white focused. So what I thought I'd do right now is just very quickly shout out a few other like female authors, because there aren't that many here. If any, it's the majority of them are male, so I wanted to shout out a few female authors, a few LGBTQI plus authors, and then also a few authors of colour as well, just to like give you a few more options if you want to check out comics and things like this. First one I want to mention is Kelly Thompson. I've been reading her It's Jeff series recently, and this is all about a land shark in the Marvel Universe, and this is such a family friendly, adorable comic. It is absolutely gorgeous. I don't own it physically, otherwise I would have shown it to you. It's mostly on Marvel Unlimited at the moment, on their Friday Funny section, but this is all about a shark who is experimented on so he can walk on land, and it's little adventures throughout the Marvel Universe, and it's just adorable, and it's completely and utterly like available, and well, it's completely and utterly accessible for absolutely everybody of all age ranges, as long as you've got like Marvel Unlimited. I think they may be releasing it physically, if I remember rightly. If it is, I'm tempted to buy it, not gonna lie. But it's just these really short, adorable little comics. There's very, very few words on the page. Mostly the words on the page is just people going, Jeff, because Jeff has just done something again, and like, it's adorable, but they've just gone, oh, Jeff, you know, sort of like you do with like a slightly misbehaving dog, which is really cute. He's like a very, like, he's like a puppy, but in land shark form. It's the only way I can describe it, but it's just really cute. It made me really laugh. It made me really smile. It will be included in my latest reading vlog that is coming up at the beginning of September, so keep an eye out for that. But it's absolutely adorable. I absolutely loved it, and I've got to mention Kelly Thompson for that alone. There is also Peach Momoko, who is an artist and now an author. Her work on Demon Days is incredible, which is getting the Marvel Universe and also Japanese mythology and like weaving them together. And this one's actually perfect for anybody who isn't used to Marvel comics, actually, because even though there are Marvel characters in here, you kind of can get away with not really knowing that much about them while reading this, because it's mostly focusing on like the Japanese mythology. And again, you don't need to know that much about Japanese mythology either. I personally know basically nothing about Japanese mythology, but at the end of each comic there's a little sort of about page about each of the different creatures you see within each issue, which is really, really useful, and it's a really cool way to sort of check out like Japanese mythology and see what really interests you, and so you can go read other stories or research more about those different like creatures and things and parts of mythology. And also it's a really good way to get into the Marvel comic universe, because it's not based on like any like massive event or anything, and if you don't know who Venom is, you're still fine, you know. Stuff like this is really good fun, really, really enjoyable. If you are a Marvel comic fan, you can still read it quite easily, because you do still like, you will pick up on the Easter eggs and like the references and things, which is great. But if you're not a Marvel Comics fan at the moment, you can still really enjoy this the same way if you are a fan of Japanese mythology or if you're brand new to it. It's a good all-rounder, to be honest. It is amazing. The artwork as well, which also Peach Momoko does, is stunning. Again, I talk about this more in my reading vlog that's coming up later, like next week, I think, beginning of September, either way. But I absolutely loved it, so I've got to shout her out as well. There's also ta-nehisi Coates I have to mention here. His work with Black Panther is incredible. I loved his Nation Under Our Feet and that entire Black Panther run that was coming out around like 2018, I think it was. It was really, really good. I really loved like where he took Wakanda, how he dealt with like T'Challa and everybody else within this like royal family, all the rest of it. I blasted through it like last year when Wakanda Forever came out, and I absolutely loved it entirely. It was incredible. Definitely check it out. I would love to see his take on Sam Wilson's Captain America, because I think he could do some really, really cool things with that. But definitely check out ta-nehisi coats as well. He also writes books, so if you've read some of his books, check out some of his comics because they're really good. There's also Vita Ayla, who is a non-binary black author as well, and they have been killing it in the X-Men circle recently. They've been doing a lot of like X-Men stuff, and I have loved every single minute of it. They also were doing a Nebula series that unfortunately got cancelled after 2 issues, but it looked amazing, and they're just making so many waves within the Marvel Comics universe as well. I actually have a full guide for their stuff linked down below, so you can check it out if you want to, but I love their work. They are incredible. Definitely go check them out as well. And then finally, I have to mention Shauna Maguire as well, who has done some epic Marvel stories as well. She's most recently been known for doing the Ghost Spider series, and Ghost Spider is all about Spider-Gwen from Across the Spider-Verse and things, after like the comic book version of that, which was Spider-Geddon and her adventures and things like this. It is amazing. It is multiversal. It's all of these kind of things. It was absolutely brilliant. Shauna has also worked as well on several other things, including like some X-Men comics, all the rest of it. I am still working my way through them, I'm not gonna lie, but I've loved everything she's written. I will always recommend Shauna Maguire's work because it is so good. So if you are looking for more multiversal Spider-Man stories and like Spider-Gwen stories and stuff, check out Ghost Spider and also Spider-Geddon. Read Spider-Geddon first, then go on to Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider I should say. But it is absolutely incredible, and she's an incredible comic book author and author in general. And I think that's now where I'm going to leave this, because I don't think there's anything else to say really. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me a comic book author you really love. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a pride flag emoji down below to let me know that you're here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, which is filled with everything I've just mentioned and a whole load of other things as well, like reading orders and like character guides and guides to like planets and alien species and all of this kind of thing. All of that will be linked down below if you want to check it out and get into Marvel Comics yourself. I'll also leave a link as well down below to my Etsy store that sells bookish merch and comic book merch if you're interested in that. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But till next time everyone, bye!